Annie Tudim is there. Let's see who is there. Stan is there. Bob is there. And Emily Bell. Oh,
hello.
Terry is there. Oh, dear. Terry, how are you? And Annie. And Karen is there.
Hi.
And Paul Palmer. And that's Stan. And Bob. And Cheryl. And Kunchok Luma. And Paul.
Hello. Hello, Kenshin.
And Gordon is there.
What?
And Ellen
Hello.
is here. Ellen Murray. And Peter Putnam is there.
And Amanda.
Is Amanda next to
Amanda's
you?
here too.
And here's
Hello.
Emily. And Ram. Pachawa. Who's that? Ranashiri. Sweden is there. Kim. And Sophia Lee. Who's there? Robert Watson. Okay. Yeah, let them come.
Attention.
Yes.
Hi, you don't recognize me.
Who?
It's Kochok Lakyap
Kunjol Hajab
from Towson
from
years ago.
years ago.
We traveled together.
Okay. Kunjol Hajab. Where?
It's under Robert Lawton.
Here's a Susu.
Hey,
I see.
Missed everybody too.
Kunjol Luma. I don't see Kunjol Hajab.
No, it's under Robert.
Under Robert. Oh, Robert,
that's
which
my-
one?
I'm using my work Zoom.
Oh, okay, so that's why I confused. You
Yeah.
said Kunjol Hajab, and here you have different name.
Yes, sorry, it's
American
my
name.
American name.
Yeah, okay, yes. Then of course I can understand.
Good morning,
I should
Kenshin
know it.
Law.
Yes, here's Alexis.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, that's good.
Good
And
morning,
here's another
Kenshin.
Paul. Here's a Victoria.
Yeah,
And here's a Miranda Krusik
Linda, give me a co-host though.
and Pauline Dong. And Roger Levin. Here's a Paul. Here's a Paul. So I'm very happy to see it. Terry. And here's Kunjok Pema.
Kenshin, I have to go to work in an hour, so I'm gonna have to leave.
Here's Bonnie, I think.
Kenshin Law.
Yes.
Bauer is gonna be late today. I think he's getting
Who?
his vaccination.
Who'll be led?
Bauer Knight. Remember Bauer Knight? He used to be
Oh,
here.
Bauer Knight. Yes, Bauer Knight from California.
Yeah, he's now in California and he'll be, he
Yes,
said he'll
Rochelle.
be late.
11
He's getting a
from
vaccination.
Pittsburgh. I think the sound is very low.
So I can turn it up now.
That's I barely can hear
Yeah,
from them.
it was a little loud before.
No.
For the teaching.
Oh, and Ella Marie, I can't seem to make you a co-host. Which is not good.
Linda, they have
Yes.
Ketchen as the host and you as the co-host.
Yes.
Maybe
because
from, I think you have to make me a co-host from Kenshin's. Maybe. From Kenshin's.
Oh, okay. All right, let me see here. Because that would help. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just 1 minute. Okay, so we're going to go Ellen
Loud
Marie.
is better
Yes,
so that I don't have to shout.
right.
Here's in Amelia.
Okay, now we're going to find.
From Europe.
I'm finding you, Ella Marie.
Almary's here.
Got to find her in here, though. Wait a minute. Where is she?
Behind.
Okay. So once we
Oh, dear.
there we go. Okay. There we go. Co-host. Make co-host. Okay. We're in good shape now. Okay. So we're still letting people in. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Here's the Muddy.
Yes.
We have a lot of snow here.
Everyone is muted now.
We do too, Kenshin. We have a lot of snow in Iowa City. It's almost up over the mailbox.
Wow. So,
Robert, what to know? We used to have one.
no, we have 14 inches of rain this week.
So it looks like we have everybody that's
So I think
here.
we have everyone. It's exactly 9.
Okay.
Everyone is ready? Okay.
Mr. Chair, would you like us?
Say some prayers, yeah. Opening prayers. Starting Sanjay Chara in English or Tibetan.
Okay, so we're gonna do share screen. Okay. And Cheryl's gonna read it for us.
Yeah, Sanjay Chara, just start from
Yes.
there.
Can everyone hear me?
Short refuge, yeah.
Can everyone hear me?
No, start.
Start at the short refuge.
Yeah, start from short refuge,
We
yes.
hear you fine.
Start at the short refuge.
Cheryl,
Okay.
we can't hear you yet.
Yeah, you do in English then.
Can you hear me now? Can you all hear me now?
Nope, we can't hear you.
I can hear
I'm
you.
on,
But
you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I will
I
start
can
at
hear
the,
you.
thank you. I will start at the short refuge prayer.
We can't hear you, Cheryl.
In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is
I
reached.
guess I'll do it because we can't hear you, Cheryl. It's not-
Okay, go ahead, Linda.
So in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May all other sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness in the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering in the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with mirror, supreme mountain. 4 continents, the sun and moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha field. To the lamas who possess the 3 kindness, I offer the outer, inner, and secret offerings of my body, wealth, and all that is visible. Please grant me the supreme realization, enlightenment. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying for the sake of enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this we dedicate. Om Guru Deva Dakini Ratna Mandal Pratisa Soha. Please turn the wheel of Dharma, the two vehicles in a combination, according to the dispositions and likewise the mental capacities of sentient beings.
Good morning, everybody.
Good
Yeah,
morning,
I see
Kenshin Raj.
Nathan and Tia. So everyone can hear now.
Yes.
Okay, that's wonderful. Yeah, first, please take a deep breath. Inhale fully. Expand your chest and stomach. And now exhale out all the stress. Relax yourself physically, mentally, like the space. Make your mind very spacious. And then cultivate altruistic thought. As we said, the prayers, opening prayers, not the bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment for oneself and for others to achieve complete enlightenment. You know, at the end of the day, the mind is the most powerful. As I mentioned all the time, the mind is very complex, sophisticated, and if it goes the wrong direction, and there we suffer. And if we go to the right direction, then it becomes the source of all peace and happiness. So this is not, as I mentioned repeatedly, this is
We can't hear Kenshin.
Kenshin's muted. Linda, Kenshin Lai is muted.
Okay. Go ahead.
so the mind, when the mind is in the wrong direction, then we suffer, ourselves and others. When the mind is the right direction, in the right place, then there's a peace and happiness. That's what Buddha talked about, you see. This is not something Buddha has created or invented. But Buddha completely rediscover the reality nature of the mind in the absolute way, not some partial, but completely. So that's what's called Buddha. So from that state, enlightened mind, with great compassion to all those who are going through such a predicament, suffering. So Buddha share all this wisdom. So we individually have our own responsibility now to this, to follow the path. So it is very important. We don't see as this is a Buddhism or Buddha's way, but we should have such kind of mental, such understanding is the universal way. So then it will give us very kind of constructive conviction. We follow joyfully, comfortably, without fear, without doubt. This is nothing to do with the lay people, monks, nuns, this, that. No, this all just impartial path that we take. So please have that kind of our conviction. And then here in medicine, we have a small group. And then in Iowa City, they asked me to say a few words about the songs of Milarepa. Today, the songs of Milarepa is called Distinguishing Happiness from Suffering. This is very profound. Please understand, It's very profound, and it will give you complete, clear demarcation of samsara and nirvana. Sometimes you may kind of overwhelmed. No, I cannot do this. But at least you can understand what means nirvana and what means samsara. And please understand that, as I mentioned repeatedly, our mental afflictions, confusion, it's not something happened this lifetime, but it happened, or we just went through countless lifetime and up until now. So these are habits that we have in the samsara, deeply rooted. Even though they are artificial, they are kind of unreal, but that very the artificial, the contrivance, the fabricates is so deeply rooted, and we're so within that state. We're trapped within that. We're entangled within that. So therefore, it's difficult to get out of this. When we talk about these things, as I mentioned, some people may be overwhelmed. Sometimes you may feel, no, I cannot do this. But please have this kind of wisdom. There's no alternative if we want to flee from suffering. That's the point. Make sense? It's very important. So we start from where we are. There's no magic. There's no miracle. It's very practical approach. We take it step by step, purify, because Buddha nature is within us. No, so Buddha nature is the absolute remedy to purify these fabrications, these conveniences, these artificial, that we are so used to it. So if you are not interested, that's fine. There's no problem with that. But except we just suffer. And we all the time complain, no? You see, we complain, and can't get out of that, no? Sometimes we complain to that, we complain to this, time complain to oneself, so complain just all the time we complain. No matter how much we do for the rest of the life, we can't get out of that. Make sense? So this is, you see, so that now we have here audience that I have known for many years. So I appreciate your dedication, your interest in the Dharma teachings. So I can get a sense that it Dharma makes sense. No. Usually, when I give talk, Dharma teachings, I never talk about the magics, no, and miracles. I always mention we have to go through step by step, practical approach. There's called relative state, absolute state. Without the relative, there's no absolute. We cannot ignore the relative state if we want to achieve the absolute state. Because absolute itself is relative. Because without relative, there's no absolute. So it's interdependent, It's interdependent. Because of relative state, there's absolute. So because the absolute is relative, within the relative state, there's so many. That's why you see interdependent. The teachings of the interdependent depends. Dependent to this happens. This is happening because of this. So it is logical and it is very scientific. So all the great scientists, they're working hard to understand the science, but still they don't know all the science, So make sure, sometimes we say, this is a great scientist. Doesn't mean he knows all the science, He's just following, getting sense a little bit, Some country in the morning when the sun rises, there's twin light, They're breaking the darkness. So there's some kind of little light is coming. So modern scientists, they have that kind of wisdom, but they could not or have not yet fully revealed the total nature of the science, you know. On the other hand, Buddha, who revealed total, but now we have the responsibility to follow the steps of the Buddha and understand and put into practice. You know, so we all know these three things: listening, studying, and then next, once you study, listen, then contemplation. You know, contemplate what it makes sense. Make sure you understood. So this is second. Third, then practice. Put that into practice. No? Without the practice, no matter how good theory you have, oh, yes, it makes sense. Yes, I understand. You may understood, but you don't have it if you don't have practice. So these three, make sure we follow. First, listen to the teaching. Now, hearing what is talking about. And next, you contemplate, investigate, make sure you understood. And the third, put into practice. Okay? Then we get the benefit. So usually I just give kind of the example of which is very, which is in our daily life. You know. First, we study how to cook food. No, all the ingredients you need. That you're listening. What ingredients is good for this. Then next, you make sure you understood how to cook. See, everything is prepared. And the third thing, you cook. Cooking is practicing. And then you eat it. Then all you have done has brought the fruit, meaning if you know how to cook well, but if you don't cook or if you don't eat, what's the benefit? You see, so this is if we know how to cook the delicious meal and we eat it, and you know, you see, the food is very scrumptious. It's so delicious. Oh. So that's our approach. This is not something culture related. It's reality nature. Okay, now before I give too much talk, maybe go through the book, you know. And this commentaries that I wrote way back, and then it's published by Snowline of Shambhala. Actually, it's Shambhala, yes. Yes, it's Snowline. Yes. This is published by Snowline. The opening, the treasure of the profound. In this, there are quite different bachelor songs included, including this one. So I reread this commentary is quite good. No, not so bad. Maybe that time my mind is more clear than now. So I will read from the book, and then if there's necessary, then I will give some light, clear, not light. So the first is here said. Now, first of all, say I don't have to say so much about Milarepa. Everyone knows Milarepa, no, and he's very famous. Without introducing, just his fame goes everywhere, you know, like the wind blows everywhere. So in this, he is saying this, he is giving this teaching to one of his disciples, no, and what means real Dhamma practitioner, which means to free from samsara, and what means samsaric. Even we're practicing Dharma, but still we're stuck in the samsara. We're entangled in the samsara. So he makes this mention, very clear demarcation. So I'll read the first song. It said, recognizing the essence of his or her own mind, the yogin who realizes the true nature is always happy. Means you know yourself well. No? Not from artificial way, not from not from fabricated way, but your reality nature. No? Then when you know it, all the fabricated stops, the contrived stop, the artificial stops, all are just got rid of or purify. And when you maintain that yourself, you are so happy because you recognize yourself. Now there's nothing to go out of that. There's no other place better than this. And next is a Milarepa saying, pursuing delusion. See, the practitioners who increases his or her miseries always suffer. You see, pursuing delusion. This is what in samsara, we are pursuing our delusion. Anybody in the samsara, regardless who you are, whether you believe or don't believe, educated, uneducated, like say the 8 worldly concerns, outside you want to achieve from somewhere, and there we suffer. So now here, I will read the commentary. As I mentioned, the commentary is very nicely done. Okay. I read slowly that what Miller said, this song. First, although the song says his own mind, it is important to understand that mind has no gender, his or her. Gender operates merely at the outer level of physical phenomena. Nor do Buddha nature, bodhicitta. So bodhicitta, there's no his or her, and so forth, contain any concept of male or female, neither does emptiness. The opportunity that we each have to study and practice transcends such duality. This is why it is said that the Buddha's mind is no different from the mind of sentient beings. The Buddha's bodhicitta and the sentient beings' bodhicitta do not have the slightest difference. However, we must individually take the responsibility to follow the path. Miller Rebbe used here as a male pronoun because he was addressing Lengom Rebbe, so that's his disciple, Lengom Rebbe. But this teaching is intended for all sentient beings impartially. Of course, this you know all, no? The positive example here is a practitioner who recognizes the essence of his or her own mind. Our minds belong to us alone. So we individually, your mind, his mind, her mind, my mind, it's just belong to me. No. So that nature of the mind is no different from others. As just mentioned, Buddha's nature of the mind and my nature of the mind, there's no single difference. But what it made difference is Buddha realized his mind totally, so free from suffering. We have not realized our own mind, so that's why we're under the control of the delusion. That's the difference. Make sense? So make sure you understood, okay? Then, because that, then you know how to practice it. So, just to remind, we have the precious human life. The animals, if you talk about the nature of the mind, they have no idea what you're talking about. No, they are looking to eat something. But we, human beings, especially who has precious human life, have this kind of interest and ability to capture the meaning of this. So that's why now this Buddha's teaching is taught for the human beings. See, it's important to encourage ourselves to make the realization of the mind's true nature a priority in our life. Once we realize it, the universe is in our hands. So universe is not outside, it's within. Because the mind is infinite, The mind has no limit. See, that's why it's called Buddha knows everything. Because whole universe is within in the mind. When all the adventitious obscurations are dispelled. So that's why Milarepa said, when I know my mind, then I know everything. We are fully satisfied, and when we are fully, we are fully satisfied, where we are happy. When that happens. Otherwise, we have to keep searching for the happiness from outside, without realizing happiness within us. We are looking happiness from outside. Going round and round and round. Now say we, in the 60s, we reached the moon. We couldn't find special thing in the moon. Now we are looking for Mars. There may be something, someplace better. No, because we have not discovered our own mind. See? So you see, once you discover your own mind, the practitioner or the person who's realized or scientists, they're totally happy with it. So now I found everything. No, I don't have to go anywhere. Have you heard of Kunu Rinpoche, who wrote the Bodhicitta? No. He passed away 1970s, early 77. And no, yes, that's right, yes. So in the, like maybe February somewhere. So late 60, in the early 70s, the Americans or Westerners, they go around to India, meeting many different teachers, and then a group of people met Kunu Rinpoche. And his life is so simple, very simple. Actually, he doesn't own any places. So people visited him and they asked, if you need anything, please let us know, we can help you. What he said, so I have everything. He said, don't worry, I have everything. Because he has the bodhicitta. No? So he found that, discovered that. So like that, you see. So he was very happy himself. Likewise, Milarepa. When you read his life story, Milarepa, you know, looks like he's very miserable. No food, no place, no clothes. But he says, you know, I'm so happy. I don't need a house where's the heating system. I don't need a house where there's a air condition. So, okay. Although we may have received many teachings, full comprehension often remains beyond our grasp. We have not fully comprehended. How many books you have read, you see? How many teachers you have met, received teachings? Still we're confused. You see, still are wondering what should I do? You know? I have this problem, I have that problem, what should I do? You know? We have not fully comprehended. Make sense? What should I do to become happier? See? If we don't put the teaching into practice, we are still lost, no matter how much information we have collected. This point is crucial. See, practice, the point is very crucial, as I mentioned before. Milarepa studied under Marpa, who taught him completely. Milarepa could stay alone in the mountain full of joy and contentment because he put those teachings into practice and fully experienced them. He didn't have to go anywhere, see anything or do anything more. So his advice for us is to meditate, practice. So practice, as I mentioned, bodhicitta, especially these days, difficult days. The bodhicitta is very, very, practically helpful. When the time is kind of, there's more kind of growth of suffering, more confusion, when there's more challenges at that time to comprehend, to handle, bodhicitta is so kind of special method to heal our mind. Because there's a saying, the physical wound is easier to heal, but the mental wound is difficult to heal. So the mental wound, to heal that, we need the bodhicitta. We need the relative bodhicitta. We need the absolute bodhicitta. See? So his advice for us to meditate practice, get used to the teaching and practices, master them, build confidence, and become enlightened. Happiness will then be inevitable. So this is what I'm saying. We have to look at the cause instead of in the fruit. Instead of saying, may I be happy, No. So may I be healthy. We always say these prayers. May the world be better. May the world be more peaceful. I hope 2021, the world will be better. I will pray for you, be happy. But we never talk about what's the cause of happiness. Without the cause, there's no result. So here, Milarepa is giving us what kind of cause we should create for happiness. See? Make sense? This is very important. So many of you know, you have the book, the Diamond Rosary. You know, Diamond Rosary at the dedication section. Say, by the vast of this virtue, may I be useful. May my body, speech, mind be useful for other services. May all the mental afflictions now purify. You see, this is important. Without purifying our mental afflictions, how we can achieve happiness? Okay. The opposite, so opposite of the this happiness, sufferings, they're saying. The opposite example given here is of a practitioner who chases after delusion. Even though we are practicing Dharma, we chant some mantra, so like a small group. So let us meet Saturday or Sunday morning. Let us chant for 2 hours or 1 hour. Let's meditate together. But we are not really practicing the Dharma. We are just looking for some special kind of result, expectation is there. By saying this mantra, may I be so happy. So you see, so saying, chasing the delusion. This is very important. This is a special, it's called instruction. I'm sure you have heard of pointing the nature of the mind. So here is pointing the nature of the cause for peace and happiness, and pointing the cause of suffering. When there's a problem comes, we blame to somebody else. You did this, you did this, you did that. Of course, they did it. But the root cause of, what is the root cause of that? Our ego. The pernicious ego. Make sense? Oh, we have to reduce that. Because ego does not exist anyway, no? One after another, we may study Dharma, but in practical terms, we are more involved with the 8 worldly concern. You see, 8 worldly concern, this will come later also as well. Now, this is very familiar to everyone else. Means very focused, only this life. Only this life. We use Dharma for this life. We are not practicing Dharma to achieve enlightenment. Sometimes we may think, yes, I am practicing Dharma to achieve enlightenment, but now I want to be happy now. If we are not happy now, I don't practice. This doesn't bring any benefit, I give up. See? Make sense? Without looking our shortcoming, the mind itself, how much we have so much delusion within us. So it really concern means just only focusing on this life's happiness, success, like business people. All the business people, They're only looking for this life success. How to become millionaire, how to become billionaire. Soon there will be how to become trillionaires. There's no end, you know. Still you are not happy. Now what we should do? You know, you become billionaire, still you are not happy. Now what we should do? Because there's always the problem there, you know. I'm not saying you become billionaire is wrong. I'm not saying that. To become millionaire is wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about the happiness. So happiness comes from the contentment. Contentment means if you're a millionaire, so now I become millionaire, I'm so happy. Now this is enough for me. Now I don't need anything. And there comes the happiness. That's what's called contentment. Or if you got a good lunch today, so I got good lunch, so I'm so happy. So you're content with your lunch, and you are happy. So whatever you have, when we know how to content, then you are happy. Like here, now I got a small house here, So now I'm so happy, I don't have to run anywhere, I don't have to chase anywhere. So that makes you happy. Now then, from there, we develop bodhicitta to achieve complete enlightenment. Because still my happiness, what I have, is very temporary. It's very conditional. It's conditional happiness. You see, so I'm happy I have a house now. It's conditional. If I lost the house, now what should I do? Again, I suffer. Yeah, so, So look at this, you see. This, how is so important, Okay. Many practitioners go here and there in the name of Dharma, but never find their own mind because they think they can achieve happiness from outside themselves. This can never happen. Happiness is within. Pursuing delusion only brings more misery. The more we follow the eight worldly concern and other distraction, the more our suffering will increase. As Dharma practitioners, we should always understand this. This is a very important point. Now here, it's not saying we should give up everything. No, it's not saying. As I mentioned, first we start, appreciate, rejoice, acknowledge the enlightenment is within us, not outside. Understanding my happiness will come within me. My peace will come within me, not from outside. And so we start from there. Then, as you know, reflect on the impermanence, suffering of samsara. Those are so helpful, useful, And next, Resting within the uncontrived state, the yogin who realizes their unchanging nature, pure within its own place, is always happy. You see. So, yogin is the practitioner. Any practitioner, not like say, you practice refuge, you practice Pachasattva, you practice Guru Yoga, or you practice Bodhicitta. And any practice you are doing, you do it within. See, resting within this uncontrived state, this is in my mind. So there's nothing to make anything that's uncontrived. Freshly who you are. You doesn't have to be like high practitioner, just a beginner. But you know how to rest yourself, where you are. When you know how to rest yourself, who you are, it's uncontrived. It's within you. Then realize unchanging. So then you realize unchanging. Just giving example as a space, you see. Space always very useful. In the space, there's cloud, there's dust, there's wind, but there's not space. There's cloud, dust, wind. The space itself never changes. So your mind, as it is, the mind itself doesn't change. No matter what thoughts manifest, your frustration, anger, attachment, resentment, all these are like cloud. They manifest, they dissolve, they manifest, they dissolve. But if you know that you could recognize your unchanging mind, like the nature of the space, see, that unchanging nature of mind itself is called pure, because it never changes. It's always in that nature. Pure within its own place, its own place. Yesterday's your mind, last year's your mind, this year's mind, next year's mind. The mind itself is pure, its own place. See? Then when you recognize that, that's what we, compared to relative state, is called absolute, ultimate. And the practitioners who have that kind of reflection is always happy. Because you don't have to chase anywhere. It's within you. Now, on the other hand, pursuing feelings and thoughts. You see, I feel this, I don't feel good today. I feel that, I don't feel good that. So then you're feeling, you're pursuing, chasing your feeling, your thoughts. I have this thought, I have that thought. You're pursuing your thoughts, your feelings, here and there. Practitioners who freely accumulate attachment, you see, and aversion, you see. With this good feeling, so then you are working so hard. Today I don't feel good. What should I do? So then you go around everywhere. And then when there's good feeling, you're attached to that, how I have to preserve this, how I have to maintain this, and then you're just following this, that suffering one after another. That pursuit itself is suffering. That is, it's always suffer. Now, if I read the commentary, here again we have a contrasting pair of examples. The happy yogin practitioner has realized the true nature of his own mind, his or her own mind, and simply rest in that nature. You just relax. That's called heaven. Okay. Oh, that's really is called heaven. So you know where to rest your heaven. Instead of you're looking for some special place, heaven, that's called pure, the Pure Land. Okay. The uncontrived state. Uncontrived means that there is no need to make things better or change them in any ways. No need to change anything. Because if you try to change, it is contrived. It's artificial. You just realize mind directly as it is. When cloud disappears from the sky, it doesn't make the sky better. The space it is as it is. It is the same with mind. When delusions and afflictions disappear, the mind is free from elaboration, unfabricated, unchanging space. The first this kind of way is a good way to understand this, because this delusion, what we call, as you mentioned, adventitious delusion, adventitious obscurations. So these obscurations kind of occupied our mind. Then we're chasing all the suffering. So in the absence of the delusion, then the mind is resting in that pure nature. So just to understand this. Now these mental delusions, mental afflictions, they're just a manifestation. They come from within the mind and they dissolve into the mind. So you don't have to chase delusions away. Otherwise, it becomes so dangerous. Or I have negative thoughts, I don't want this, you throw this away. Or I have this negative thought, they are coming, you throw away. Then you suffer in between. Instead, you're all negative thoughts, nothing but a manifestation. It's nothing but reflection. It's just a mirage, where we should not be trapped in the mirage, because they have no essence. You see, when the cloud comes, let cloud come, but you can't hold on cloud. Let cloud disappear by itself. This is very important, you see. You see, the waves in the ocean, Sometimes the storm comes, a strong wind comes, and the wave becomes a storm. But as soon as the wind disappears, the storm dissolves into the ocean. It's part of the ocean. So all this the storm of these delusions is part of the mind. So let them dissolve into that. But first we should understand, this as I mentioned, without delusion, the pure mind. So delusion itself is a pure mind. When you realize, see, when you're not trapped, that's what's called practice. Anybody can do it if you are interested, and everybody can do it if you are interested. This is not a Buddhism, okay? This is a practical approach for the peace and happiness. Yet, in a relative state, all these causalities, manifestations, we cannot ignore them because it's our own creation. The cause we have created. We have created the cause, so we are the one responsible to experience the result. See? This causality, no? Make sense? It's very important. First is if you should get that it makes sense. Because we cannot ignore these all the causalities within in the emptiness, because the causality themselves are the natural emptiness. Emptiness is not outside of this causality. So you can enjoy Dharma. If you know how to play. No? See, no. I know where I read now. Let me see. I think I read that when delusions and illusions disappear. Now, next. Contrivances are artificial constructions and therefore changing. So, constantly changing, no? Because it's artificial. It's impermanent. All those things are impermanent. It's because we composed from the causes and conditions. That very nature of your mind is not composed. It's not created. Because it is as it is. See, our conventional mind is like this ball, the ball in the soccer game, being kicked back and forth between good and bad. So our mind is kicked between good and bad. This is good, I like. This is not good, I don't like. So we kick our mind back and forth. And then wrong and right, like and dislike. From beginningless time, we have been chasing delusion, without finding any place of rest. We search and search for happiness, but it continually slips away from us. The way to rest is to become free from elaboration, to experience the uncontrived nature of mind, which is pure just as it is. Take example, take water as another example. When we purified dirty water, all we can do is to remove the pollutant. We say, this is bottled water, purified. What it mean? You cannot purify the water itself. We leave the water as it is. Only we say purified water means all the pollutions, all the dirts are taken away. So all our mental afflictions, they are dirt of the mind. So take those away and leave mind as it is. And then you are so happy. You see? The water itself remains unchanged. It was always pure. In the same way, we cannot alter the pure mind or pure nature of mind. Recognizing that and resting, there is happiness and joy. On the other hand, a Dharma practitioner who is continually pursuing feeling and thoughts has a problem. He or she runs back and forth after his or her feelings of hope and fear, and therefore suffer by continually bouncing between likes and dislikes, attachments and aversion. When one has a strong attachment to one's own happiness, achievement, joy, and so forth, this will lead to suffering, predicament as a side effect. Likewise, when one has a strong reaction to hatred, that anger will bring suffering into our being. We should learn how to relax, otherwise the suffering will be constant. Basically, this verse describes the difference between samsara and nirvana. You see, nirvana is just to relax your mind as it is. You know, Nagarjuna said, there's no single difference between samsara and nirvana. Once you realize the nature of the samsara, that it's nirvana. See, our mind, when these, as mentioned, the hopes and fears, attachment and aversion, when you realize their nature is just nothing but suffering. And that very nature of suffering itself is nothing but empty. So that emptiness is nirvana. So there's no emptiness is outside of that. See? So samsara and nirvana. Samsara is a constant condition of suffering, while resting in nirvana is continual happiness. The distinction is easy to see, but we have to learn how to go from one to the other. First, there is bodhicitta, it's very important to have this principle method as a foundation. Then we can practice Mahamudra. And when we practice well, we will experience great joy and peace. This kind of happiness is called fearlessness. See? So that you see, when you realize yourself, your whole being in that nature, then there's nothing to fear because there's no ego. We have so much fear because we have strong ego, self-grasping. When there's a self-grasping, then we have so much fear to lose it. Something may happen, something will happen, something will break my window, my door, and there's so much suffering. See? If there's no ego and self-grasping, you are so fresh and no fear. See, no matter how much protection we have, there's always fear. Like so to save your place, there's a special security around, and then there's a alarm system, and one or two more kind of locks. You lock the doors, and then somehow in the middle of night, your alarm system is disturbed. You have so much fear there. Now robber is coming, Your heart is beating. So the wall is just built on the base of the fear, you see. So this is how to achieve fearlessness. Make sense? It's not a Buddhism as mentioned, but how reality in a causality state and in the reality nature, how to achieve your real peace and happiness, free from all the fear, Okay. So I tried to make you how to be happy, okay? In a practical way. I'm not saying these are bad, this is not good. I'm not saying that. We have to work with our mind. See? How to prepare mentally with the wisdom, with the skill, with the compassion. See? Basically, this verse describes, this I read, I think, samsara and nirvana. Samsara is a constant, yes, I read that. The distinction is easy to see, but we have to learn how to go from one to the other. First, there is the bodhicitta dimension. It is very important to have this principle method as a foundation. Then we can practice Mahamudra, and when we practice well, we will experience great joy and peace. This kind of happiness is called fearless, because there's no fear of losing it, because it's within you. There's no fear to lose it. Just reflect on this. So which these things which is against to this, then we say this is not good because they don't bring comprehensive happiness, what you desire for. So this will give you full satisfaction, full happiness. No fear wherever you want to go. So great bodhisattvas who have realized this bodhicitta, emptiness, have no fear to even to go to the hell realm. Instead, they go there joyfully. Oh, I can help them. See? So we all have the responsibility, everybody, study them. Not as a Buddhism, as I mentioned, not as a Buddhism, but study and practice as a universal causality. See? You want to have a short break? Okay, maybe 10 minutes. Om Baza Sato Samaya, Manobalaya, Badra Sato Tenoba, Jidado Membawa, Sudukayo Membawa, Subukayo Membawa, Anuradam. Sorasi de Meprayaza, Sorwakama Sudame, Chetana Shreya, Kuru Hung, ha ho, Magam. Sorota Dangan Bazar Mami Monzambar Zimbawa, Ma Samaya Sato. Okay.
Yes.
Om Baza Sato Samaya, Manobalaya, Badra Sato Tenoba, Jidado Membawa, Sudukayo Membawa, Subukayo Membawa, Anuradam Membawa, Sorasi de Meprayaza, Sorwakama Sudame, Chetana Shreya, Kuru Hung, ha ho. Bhagavana Samada Danga Damar Zamami Mazambar Zimbawa Ma Samaya Sato. Okay. Now we start the next one. Are you ready? Okay. I'll read now. We don't know if you can finish this. Yes. So now I have to talk little, not too much. I'm talking too much?
Never.
No, not at all.
No, it's great.
Okay. Are you getting the message?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay, now realizing all appearances to be the Dharmakaya, the yogin who cuts through hopes and fears and doubts is always happy. It's more like we have now studied. Engaging in pretense and careless action, the practitioners who doesn't quell the 8 worldly concerns always suffer. This more like a practitioner, of course, but more who teaching like me, you know, or who call is a teacher, you know, who call this a lama, and this is a tribun, this is a kempo, you know, and they pretend they are scholar, you know, they are well educated, they are well accomplished, they pretend, and they suffer. You see, a very simple practitioner is much happier. Okay. So now read it. All appearances are illusion, like a mirage. Their nature is emptiness. Seeing this cut through hope, fear, and doubts. There's nothing to expect, nothing to hold, nothing to fear. Hesitations and doubt are cut off. Thus, abiding within the Dhammakaya means within the emptiness, one is always happy and experiences great peace. So the study of, so this first, you see, we first see who we are. A beginner like me, very difficult to see everything's emptiness. No, theoretically you can accept. Okay, theoretically, oh yes, this I know, this through science, quantum physics, theory, all these things. Yes, the emptiness, these are empty, you know. But practically in the mind, it's very difficult to see as emptiness. Still so real. No, they affect us so much. When I see that, my attachment goes there. When I see that, my aversion goes there. So that means there's no any emptiness, you know. Very difficult, you know. So therefore, you know, first we have to study step by step to reach to that point. So here's, see now here, study of impermanence, suffering, and causality are the indispensable as the preparation for these kind of realization. When we study in impermanence, we see that all composite phenomena are of transitory, momentary nature. They come and go. Impermanence can be summarized by these four things that we know to be sure. Everyone will die. There's no record anywhere in the world of someone having been born who did not die. If they had not died, we could see them now, but we don't. The end of all accumulation is dispersion. All we collect, as I mentioned, millions, billions, but one day they go away. Like see, you can see the stock market. It's very clear. You know, one day the stock market goes so high, everyone is so excited. Oh, the economy is so good, the stock market is so wonderful, you know. And then next day it's fall down and everyone is depressed. You see? So that's what's up and down, okay? It's not saying everything's bad, but go up and down, up and down. There's no fixed deposit. See? Illusory nature. Okay. The end of all meeting is separation. See, we may meet many people, but we will always part, either by leaving them or through death. Look at our friends that we met, many, or our family, but then sometime they go away, they leave. The end of all construction is destruction. Everything that has been built, buildings, road, aeroplanes, internet, will one day fall apart. It is just a matter of time. So these things. Contemplate this in order to realize attachment and anger and free the minds. We should free our attachment and anger by these things, that by reflecting on these. That will help us to ease our mind. Now, this is important, you see. Sometimes when we talk, no attachment means you don't care. No, that's not true. You can care, you can help, you can support all what you can, see, to make that person happy. Attachment will not make that person happy. Only bring suffering to yourself and to the others. You see, if you just do things freely, and it's also for you, be so grateful. No attachment, I say, I did it, no, I'm so happy. And that person also feels so free. No? So please make real good understanding. You can say, I love you, I care you, all these things. You do things also what you can. Be helpful, be kind, but no attachment, no aversion. No. Especially like parents, when they care their children, sometimes because their children, they attach so much, and then they're suffering so much. So it's very important, because they're your children, you should do all what you can, but no attachment. See? And this is so good, you know, because you care, you did what you could, but no attachment, there's no suffering. See? No suffering for you, no suffering for them. Make sense? So these are so important in our life. That's the wisdom of the Buddha. See? So we can see how the study of the impermanence is very helpful to an understanding of the illusory nature of phenomena. As a result of engaging in this kind of contemplation, a more precise way of thinking will arise, and that will lead to incisive awareness. Life is like ripples in the water, moving every moment. Without such awareness, we unsuccessfully try to make things concrete, and then we suffer. On the other hand, if we realize that the nature of phenomena is emptiness, the realization will cut our fears and doubts. Without fear and doubt, we will always be happy. Suffering is based on the confusion. The root cause of suffering is our great ignorance. Ignorance is a mental factor that has the nature of contrivance and fabrication. Because of ignorance, I have no self. but I'm holding self. Say, this is me, I am. Then there's such a strong ego, self-grasping. And you sacrifice all good things for your own self, the ego. It's very obvious, clear, isn't it? It's very clear now. You see, stronger ego you have, kind of more suffering is there, more confusion is there. Then you see there is a hatred, resentment. You see, you can see this in the political world, in the business world. You see, all what you do become useless, doesn't bring benefit. But if you do this with all care, compassion, then there's such an appreciation. There's great peace and happiness. You see? Because everybody will admire that person. It prevents us from, this ego, ignorance, it prevents us from perceiving the pure nature of mind as it is. As long as confusion remains, physical and mental suffering must also persist. Therefore, everyone in the world will live under the condition of suffering until confusion is dispelled. There are two types of causalities. Causes conditioned by confusion, and causes based on the wisdom and compassion. The result of the causes conditioned by confusion is suffering. The result of causes based in the wisdom and compassion are peace and happiness. All the peace and happiness in this world and beyond are the result of an unafflicted mind. The practitioner who engages in pretense, careless means virtue, non-virtue, doesn't care. So careless action, pretend to be good, but is actually careless when it comes to the discipline. That is like being trapped in a prison. If you have taken precepts or vows but are not keeping them well, you have to pretend in front of people that you are a genuine practitioner or scholar. Sometimes you pretend that you are accomplished, but if the reality is that you are careless regarding your precept, this pretending will be like a prison. You always have to pretend, like in a prison, We have a lot of anger. So say, I don't have anger, We have a lot of attachments. I don't have attachment. Then inside you have attachment. Inside you have anger. But you have to pretend you are so pure. Then it's like in a prison, So Dhamma practice, always, any Dhamma teaching you receive, is always the emphasis is to purify all our mental afflictions. And and you will suffer because you cannot act freely. Precepts, your ego, precepts, we receive the precepts are just as a part of Dharma practice, a part of life, not a cause for pretense. So this taking the precepts, it's like lay people who have one precept, 2, 3, 5 precepts or more precepts you take. It's all just to release all the confusion, not to pretend. It's not showcase. No, it's Dharma practice. When our actions are uncontrived, they are more natural and flow freely, like a stream flowing from a mountain into the ocean. If our lives flows like that, there's such great peace and joy. So if we have kept, like say, 5 precepts, you feel so peaceful, because you have the cause. So the peace and happiness will not come from by praying, but Dharma practice. Mm-hmm. When our actions, I think I've read this freely, there is a great peace and joy. If we always have to pretend, then we will always be uptight. That approach does not quell the 8 worldly concerns, but rather makes them worse. The 8 worldly concerns are listed in many different places. But just repeat here as a reminding: gain, praise, comfort, and fame. These are the positive state we seek to achieve, belong to the attachment. So it's our attachment to these 4 topics. Everyone in the world, from a street cleaner to a country's leader, will sacrifice their life to obtain these 4, and thereby will create many undesirable causes. Then next 4 is lose, discomfort, blame, and disgrace. These are the 4 objects of aversion. It is hard for us to accept responsibility for those 4. People repeatedly create masses of confusion to cover them up or deny their existence. If we genuinely desire peace and happiness, we have no choice but to avoid these 8 worldly concerns. So it's not just a religious practice. It's not a spiritual. It's reality in the world, you see. As I mentioned, this we have to understand very clearly. So Buddha's teaching is not a religion. It's the reality where how the whole universe is constituted on the basis of the cause and conditions. So all the laws you see in the country are meant to bring more peace and happiness and harmony, you see. So those are based on, you can see, wisdom. And when we're against that, then there's suffering comes, you see. Everyone should watch their mind, but especially those who are practicing bodhicitta and mahamudra, when any of these 8 concerns rise in the mind, purify them. We should see them as a bubble, mirage, or magical display. We should relax the mind naturally within the sphere of wisdom to achieve a free-flowing, relaxed mind, relaxed life. We have to practice Dharma well. We must transcend our negative thoughts and bad habits. We should practice to purify the cause of our suffering. We should practice to purify delusions, not to make ourselves into something special or to obtain a high title. We should investigate for ourselves whether this is true, you see. So there's, this an echo, you see. So we like to have praise. If somebody praises us, we're so happy. Oh, you're wonderful. You're so, you get this. You are this. So then you feel so good, If somebody blames you, then you are so upset, So that time we should reflect on echo. You go to the a mountain where it's a high cliff mountain. You shout, and the echo will reflect, like in the Boulder, Colorado, that area. There's a lot of mountains, and you just shout, "Oh, wonderful! How good you are!" The echo will say, "Oh, how good you are!" And then you should say, "Oh, bad you are," and they will reflect, "Oh, bad you are." This is an echo. You don't pay attention. So all the words are an echo, you see. When you meet your friend who love you, so, "Oh, you are so beautiful, you are so good." So "Oh, you too, you are so kind, you are so wonderful," And the people you don't like say, "Oh, that person is so not good person, is, there's some problem, that will say also, "You're so bad, you are not good," It's all reflection. Practice that, you see. Everything's an echo, a reflection. Meditate on this and practice compassion, bodhicitta, and emptiness. Now next, recognizing everything to be mind, the yogi who takes all appearance as an aid in always happy. Having spent his life in distraction, the practitioner who feels remorse at the time of death always suffers. Similar, but here is mentioned at the time of death. One thing here is that everything to be mind, recognizing everything to be mind, yogi who takes all appearances as an aid is always happy. Sometimes, we study Bharata teaching. There's many, at the beginning also, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Everyone is so interested, Tibetan Book of the Dead. So then follows that. There are so many about the what we should do at the time of death. This. So here Milarepa is saying, prepare now. don't wait at the moment of the death. See, because if you don't care now, if you don't practice now, we don't know what will happen at the time of death. Right now, see, purify all above mentioned, all the obscurations, and practice everything as illusory nature. This means this appearances as an aid is always happy, means all these outer things is part of the mind. I don't have to read all the commentary here, but just to understand, look at the table in front of you. If you ask, the table is the mind, we won't say the table is mind, isn't it? Table is not mind. But you see, table is good, not good, beautiful, not beautiful, I like, I dislike. It's all your mind, you see. Somebody will say, oh, your table is so good. And other will say, it's maybe too big or too small. No. But then look further. Who made the table? Table is made by carpenter, isn't it? The carpenter then put together, made the table. See? And that, see, table is made from the different woods, from the tree, cut from the tree. And then saw the table and made. So the tree is grow from very small seed to a giant tree. You see? Look at this, oh, this is a play of the emptiness. From the emptiness, then this all causes condition come together and finally made a table. So that's when you have that kind of realization. Then you can say all the appearances means outside, all the objects, a manifestation of the mind. So, you know, look at this. Then all you see as illusory nature is just a manifestation. It's a reflection of the causes and conditions. You see, it goes so deep. You see, deeper meaning. See, this is not a Buddhism. See, this is reality, nature. So that shows how your mind is powerful. We ordinary mind, we just see table is real, concrete. I can touch, it can break, and all this you can see. Then when you practice step by step, then you can see the table is illusory nature. That's why so Milarepa, who trained his mind for the rest of his life, so he can go into the yak horn and he can stay there freely. Very spacious. It's not a magic. It's reality, nature there for him. So for him, it's just the reflection of the mind. Realize that, you see. He can sit on the leg, huge leg, The leg is not smaller. He was not bigger, but totally covered the surface of the leg. This is what's called everything is a reflection of the mind. So we need to practice this. We have to understand this and practice, you see. It doesn't come just by, it's not just by just reflection, not just by magic, step by step. First you study in permanence. Reflect on that, you see. Then with this, you see, mind is so much, not so much distracted. Mind is just all inside where you are. Because you realize everything is like a mirage. You can see the mirage, but it's not there. See? So the samsara is a mirage. See? So reflect on this. So what we're saying is how to really bring total peace and happiness. See? Happens spent in life in the distractions. See? We go around here and there, all this and all, then, feel remorse. Then he say, I didn't practice well enough, all this. And then at the time of death, we just suffer. Okay. Time flies. That's what's called impermanence. Okay, please don't depress, okay? Enjoy the Dharma. So this is a wonderful news. It's called Dharma news. Then next verse, instead of reading this explanation, if we go to the next verse, having given up worldly activities, the yogin who is without selfishness and personal objectives is always happy, struggling to gather provision. The practitioner who is preoccupied with family and relatives always suffer. Okay, anyway, it's similar the before, even we, of course, without Dharma, all the samsaric beings, people especially, there is grasping, there is ego. All this is mentioned here. We're all looking for wealth. But even Dharma practitioners, struggling to gather provisions, means wealth. Want to accumulate wealth, practitioners. And then preoccupied for your wealth, how to gather, how to make a special place. And there are some who are married, now teachers. So then how to take care of my families, instead of taking care of all the sentient beings, instead of practicing bodhicitta, you are practicing your self-ego realization. How to make my ego bigger, better. No? So there's no dharma. There's only suffering. See? So that's why bodhicitta is such a precious. So we learn step by step, slowly, see how to purify these cause of suffering in the samsara and reflect on this repeatedly. So as earlier mentioned, what makes samsara? What makes suffering in the world? Now you can see, due to this all technologies everywhere, in the world, all different countries, depending to the leaders and how they practice the suffering. There are so much problem in the world, you see. Look this very carefully. It's not just a Buddhism, but Buddha's wisdom show us there's nothing special in the West or East. No. You can see their leaders, some leaders are so conscientious. They take care of the people, take care of the country, their health, their education. No. Even though, of course, they are within samsara, but has less suffering. People respect the leaders so much. The others who have such a strong ego and then exploit people for their own benefit, then see how much suffering is there due to these mental afflictions. So you see, it's very clear now. There's no any difference now between West and East. We share the same thing, share the same suffering. We share the same peace and happiness. So how everything constituted within the causality. So we know Buddhist doesn't mean they are perfect. Some Buddhists, they're also very ego-oriented. Same suffering, you see. But some who practices Buddha's teaching, be helpful, kind, and the more peace and happiness, you see. So that's why I say Buddha's teaching is universal. So we should have a special kind of awareness to understand the causality, the samsara, the causality of the samsara, the causality of nirvana. So here Milarepa is giving such a kind of very precise, as mentioned, demarcation. what brings this happiness, peace? What makes the suffering? Here is the practitioner. Here just here practitioner, Dharma practitioner also should practice sincerely. If practitioner don't practice according to the Dharma, then the causality doesn't make difference. So the 4 dharmas of Kambupa, how the mind follows the Dharma. Dharma becomes the path. The confusion dispels from the path. And the confusion dawn as wisdom. See, look at these. And next, they're all basically the same, Having inwardly turned away from attachment, the yogin who realizes everything to be an illusion is always happy. Remaining on the path of distraction, the practitioner who employs his body and speech as a servant always suffer, you see. Mind bring insight and relax. Meditate on bodhicitta and emptiness. Mind as it is always peaceful. See? So from that peace, the happiness is manifested. See? So as earlier mentioned, the mind is such a powerful, it's like an ocean. If you swim in the ocean, big ocean, underneath the ocean is always calm, peaceful. Only on the surface, the waves, the storms manifest on the surface. But underneath the ocean is always peace. So as well our mind itself is always nature of peace. Because of that, no matter what happened, our desire for peace doesn't disappear. Sometimes through great emotion, great distraction, so you may say, I don't care the peace. But underneath, you always care the peace. Happiness. Even our life, daily life, there's happiness, but you are not satisfied. You want more peace, more happiness. So today you got such a beautiful weather. You will never say, now I'm fully satisfied. I want this weather, next day, more. Because we have not achieved the perfect state of enlightenment. And no matter how much you suffer, you never get used to it. See? You may suffer for many years, still you will not get used to it. Can you? Never, isn't it? So you see, because suffering is not a part of our life. That's what it is called. It's artificial, contrived. Peace and happiness is part of the life. So we have to create a cause for that. For us to create the cause of suffering is so easy, very easily jump, you know. Like for example, those who used to be using the drugs, you know, drugs. For the time being, it gives you some kind of relaxed peace. By attaching to that, you want the drugs, and you are so habituated. And after some time, you know it is not good for you. Not good for your mind, not good for your health, not good for your money, you know. Then you lost the job, you lost your family, you know all this problem. But you are so habituated and difficult to get rid of it. And you know it is not right, but the habit will just push you. So see this. So our samsaric habit, all these mental afflictions are that kind of habit. So it's not easy to change it, but we can change it through this effort, through this wisdom. No, we have such a great skill. We start with always peace, not with aggressive or negative thoughts, but with kind thought, with wisdom. No, change slowly, so get better and better, you see. Then you can relax totally. So this what is just basically I try to make it just some meaning on this, you know. Okay. Let me see if let's see. Okay, ninth. Now next he said, writing the horse of diligence, the yogin who progresses through the paths and bhumis to liberation is always happy. In the shackle of laziness, the practitioner who is anchored to the depth of samsara always suffer. So now this is such a beautiful, riding the horse of diligence. We just finished the Chandideva's text, chapter 7, diligence, is last Wednesday, See, so riding the horse of diligence, we need Dharma. When you practice Dharma, we need the diligence, perseverance. See. Because the diligence here means, it's joyous effort. You are making effort joyfully. In the Shantideva's text mentioned, in the hot day, burning hot day, at noon, the elephant feels so hot. And when the elephant sees the lake, pond of water will just rush into that lake or water to free from this kind of heat. So now when you see the Dharma teachings, all about the Dharma teachings. When you hear that, and you see the samsara as like the hot weather, you can't bear it anymore, and follow the Dharma joyfully. Even therefore, elephant maybe has to run for a couple hours, but will run so joyfully. So we practitioners practice Dharma joyfully with privilege. So I have the precious human life. Now I receive these precious Dharma teachings. This means, just as earlier mentioned, we always should remember what Dharma practice means: to purify our mental afflictions. Doesn't matter where you are. You don't have to go anywhere except just practice where you are. Purify our mental afflictions, the negative habit. So this, if I read this commentary, see, practicing Dharma is more than chanting some mantras, you see, doing a few frustrations, turning a prayer wheel, and going on pilgrimage to the holy seats. Dharma means peace based on the wisdom, free from delusions and confusion. Practicing Dharma then means reducing causes of suffering at every level. Look at the 10 virtues and non-virtues, and then work to develop a positive frame of mind. Through this, skillfully purify the cause of suffering and simultaneously develop the cause of the uncontrived mode of abiding. One who progresses in meditation practice in this way is always happy because his or her mind is healthy and strong within the framework of bodhicitta. The halls of diligence or joyous effort will easily take you through the 5 paths and the 10 bhumis. The paths and bhumis are precisely described in the jewel ornament of liberation. Please refer to that book if you would like more detail on this subject. Unfortunately, many are chained by laziness. We're just chained, or meaning we're trapped, entangled. One whose time is taken up in this manner always suffer. There are basically 3 types of laziness. The laziness of discouragement, attachment to the pleasure of this life, and busyness, being busy for this life only benefit. The laziness of discouragement consists of thinking things such as, I'm not smart enough, I cannot do this, I'm not strong enough, Dharma is so profound and I feel so small. How could I observe this Dharma? It is not for me. So this is actually just your making excuses by looking down on yourself. Look carefully this approach. Will this kind of excuse exempt you from suffering? Because you have this flaw, will samsara have compassion for you and allow you alone not to suffer? The better approach is to carve Buddha nature, and the precious human life, recall that you are not helpless because you have the teachings on virtue and non-virtue. You can understand samsara and nirvana. Somehow, even insect can eventually be freed from samsara, and so why not you? Starting from that point, you will soon be free from the shackle of the laziness. This doesn't mean to encourage arrogance and looking down on others. Here we develop confidence that will enable us to study and practice Dharma, to progress on the path, and to cultivate bodhicitta with a courageous mind. With this method, we can escape the laziness of discouragement. Going on picnic, watching movies, wasting time on gossip and idle talk, and enjoying meaningless speech are examples of the laziness of attachment to the pleasure of this life. The antidote is to reflect on impermanence. Think, even if I pass my entire life this way, what would I have in the end? Suppose you went to the mountain on the vacation and had a wonderful time. What essential things would you achieve through this? Instead, climb the mountain of bodhicitta, watch the movie of the mind, and unreservedly enjoy the uncontrived state. Reflect on Dharma teachings, practice them, and purify the mind. If you had taken the time you spend on entertainment and use it for the meditation, think about the difference it would have made now. Which one do you choose for the future? So watching the mind, entertain yourself in the Dharma practice. That's the one. Even day-to-day life, you have peace. And at the time of death, you die without fear. See, and an example of the third kind of laziness, being busy or busyness for this life benefit, can be seen in the way workers are sometimes so busy they don't even take time to eat lunch. So many deadlines. In the end, how much benefit will you get from this lifestyle? This doesn't mean you don't work. No, you don't work for your life, for food, for clothes, but just only attached to this saying, no? Trying to be more balanced, is try to be more balanced. It is all a matter of you, point of view. You can still do things for this life, but do them with a focus on liberation, means free from samsara. When you drive, take a shower, or when you drive, take a shower, cook, or any activities you have chance to practice Dharma. But by continually practicing mindfulness, some find themselves incurred into the depth of samsara by full perverted mindset, holding the unclean to be clean, holding the impermanence to be permanent, holding the suffering to be happiness, and holding the selfness to possess a self. Our body, composite of 5 aggregates, is nothing more than a skeleton covered with unclean material but we cherish it as if it were clean. This body is fragile and impermanent and conglomeration of many causes and conditions, but we see it as a single solid thing. This very body is the basis of all suffering, but we take it to be the basis of happiness. So we clean, we eat, we enjoy all this, being a composition of many factors. It has no self entity, no inherent existence, but through our delusion, we hold this self to be very important. This pervaded mindset firmly anchors us to samsara, where we waste all our resources and cherishing and protecting our body. So it doesn't mean don't protect your body. Of course, we protect body, but this is not everything. We use this body for enlightenment. That's why it's so precious, you know. This opportunity is such a precious that we cannot find from any other resource. So we reflect on this and practice the Dharma, you know? And then at the end, we will really rejoice. So what we did, what, no? And then, now we have how many verses? We have 2.5. So, having cut through false assertion by listening and reflecting, the yogin who looks at his own mind as entertainment is always happy. Merely professing to practice the Dharma, or practitioners who engage in negative action always suffer. This is the same thing as before. We study, we practice Dharma teachings. Bringing into the mind is always happy. But if we study, practice Dharma to get special title, so like, as we have discussed, you like go to 3-year retreat, then you got a title, Lama title, Drubin title. So I have a Drubin title, a Lama title. I studied Buddhist philosophy for so many years. Now I have a Kempo title, a Kenshin title, all these things. And then we attach to this. And then we kind of take advantage of others. So then it brings only suffering. So we have to be very conscious ourselves, Dharma practitioners. Our Dharma practice is not to make rich samsara, but make rich of nirvana, to free from samsara. So this is what basically now Milarepa is teaching us. So you can read the commentary on this. Then after reading this, then I will give you some chance to questions and answer, Would you like some help that time? Some questions answer? Okay, so I'll finish the reading. Next, having cut through hopes, fears, and doubts, and the yogi who remains continuously within the intrinsic state is always happy. Same thing, Cut means release for this life, hope and fear and doubt. Just follow the Dharma. Sometimes you may find, I don't know, it's possible or not. Then sometimes it's very good to read life stories of the great practitioners. Not just to make scholar, but great practitioners who started from nothing and then they achieved the complete enlightenment. I just mentioned this Wednesday. Some of you have heard of this. Right now in Dikung place in Tibet. No, you have heard of Dikung, no? The place there. They say the monastery established by Lord Jigten Sungkun. Now we have such a life teacher. He started his retreat like 1981, 82, from there. From then, he was in the retreat totally 100%. He visited India in the holy place just once, maybe a couple months. Then after that, he went back. So now he is totally accomplished practitioner, a master. In that all area, now they see him as really like a Milarepa. So now highly accomplished. So that's like that, you see. It's a life, not a history. Now, if you look around, you can hear his life story more and more. Now he's in the 60s now, somewhere in the 60s, really accomplished. Not just a scholar, or he's a great debater, or he's very scholar, this, that, but his accomplishment of the Dharmakaya is so fresh now. So that's what you see now here. Milarepa says, he cut this now. He cut all the hopes and fear and doubts. He was in the retreat day and night. So many people are going to see him, but many are going just to get blessings. I don't know how much they're getting teachings, That's kind of society we have, So if the conditions are better, maybe you may get a chance to see him. So that's now. If we practice Dharma, we have that kind of, still a life teacher who is fully accomplished. Otherwise, I mentioned, Milarepa handed over his or her independence to others, try to please others, try to always please others, are you happy, are you okay, are you not okay, Instead of pleasing your mind, try to please others all the time, and you lose your independence. This doesn't mean you be arrogant. No, your mind just within in the bodhicitta. Your mind is within in the Dharmakaya. Relax there. No. All the physical discomforts, anything there, just take as a part of the practice. Meditation. As you know, we have studied so much. If you have suffering, say, may my suffering be sufficient to purify all the suffering of the sentient beings. If there's some obstacles, So these obstacles may have enough ability to purify the obstacles of the sentient beings and practice that, the bodhicitta, and then emptiness. See? So that's having handed over his independence to others, the practitioner who ingratiates, you see, and flatters always suffer. Very talented how to manipulate others. Has a great skill to manipulate others. It doesn't do any good. In the samsara, we may need those things to ingratiate others, being very flatterers. But for Dharma practitioner, I means to free from samsara. Because this will bring only suffering. So look at your mind. What makes you more suffering? Purify. Sometimes not easy, but you cut attachment. Let go your ego. Most difficult is letting go your ego. It's very difficult. Anybody, so we purify this as much as we can. Then the last one is said, having cast all once behind him, the yogin who continuously practices the divine Dharma is always happy. This means you just always rely on the Dharma. What is said here in the Sublime Dharma? Kambupa. There's one quotation by Kambupa. When even in the lower realms and in the unfree states, there is some light, temporary happiness created through the merit of wholesome, virtuous deeds. This is by virtue of the secret Dharma. Means whatever the peace and happiness in the world is all manifestation of the virtue. Even in this midst of all the confusion, there's always some hope, some peace. It's because of the virtue. Means causality. Sometimes there's a great turbulence, chaos. You are so frightened. But then within that, there's some peace, some happiness. It's through the Dharma practice. So all the virtues is there. There is a peace and happiness. All the suffering is there through the non-virtue. So therefore, everybody in the world has the responsibility to do good. Even there's no Buddha's teaching, but whatever somebody is doing good thing is the virtue. That is called Dharma. They may not have the terminology called Dharma, but it is the Dharma. So that's why my emphasis is that, see, all the virtuous practice is universal. It's not a Buddhism. So we start from there, understanding from there, then develop step by step. Make our life better and make others' life better through this wisdom of the Buddha. Yes, now if you have any questions, or anything to want to say?
I have a question, Kenshin-la.
Okay.
My question is this, you spoke of Milarepa standing in the yak horn and that he directly perceived reality as illusory, as like a rainbow, like a mirage. But I can analyze to see, I can read about it and analyze reality to be empty and be like an illusion, but it seems so real, you know?
That's what I mentioned. You have to practice more.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Hello, Kenshin.
Yes. Hello. Yes. Yes. Namilia.
Hello. Yes. So, the idea of purity
Yes.
and something being pure has sort of been something I've been reflecting a little bit on. And today you mentioned that the mind, in essence, is pure. And so I wanted to understand what exactly that means, that purity. Is it, I had a few ideas. I don't know if they're correct, but checking with you, is the purity of the mind or of things, you know, is that because it lacks, it's like taking away the delusion of the fabrication of things? Is it like just, you know, the absence of creating, you know, elaboration? Is that what purity means? Or is purity like a special quality that is something, you know, more than the absence of fabrication? I don't know if that makes sense.
We should see this. Actually, the pure nature of the mind itself is not foreign to us. It is the part of yourself. No? And occasionally, you see, you feel very peaceful, you know, sometimes. Because you have no hope and fear. So, it's so relaxing, you know, just right at the beginning. And that is uncreated. See, it's not created by any, but it's just there. So that's called pure. But since we have not realized it, and then immediately other thoughts comes, hope and fear, you know, then it's polluted. See, that's called pollution, you see. So the purity is within you. We just need to recognize it and reflect, and then see to, as other days I mentioned, these negative thoughts, we cannot say, I don't want you, you know, or nobody can order, say your negative thoughts should be, get rid of it. You are not a good person because you have these things. That doesn't help. First, we need to recognize and then reflect these Nama teachings. And then we meditate on this. Purify, no? Step by step. See, with the skillful method, as I mentioned, impermanence, illusory natures, you know, and then compassion, see, and then you see like emptiness. So these are the skillful method you take, see, to accomplish, to reveal your purity of the mind.
Thank you, Kenshin.
Yes, yes, yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have
Yeah.
I kind of struggle with the idea of non-attachment.
Yes.
When someone you love very much dies,
Yes.
does that mean you should not have sorrow or grief because those are forms of suffering?
Yeah, it's as I mentioned a few times, we are within the samsara, so we have attachment. You see, because of attachment, we have aversion. You see, and that's connected to our grasping the self, and ignorance. So through this Dharma wisdom, then you just meditate on this. Release the attachment. See, everything's like a dream. See, so these examples are so good. Like last night, you had such a beautiful dream. First meeting, some beautiful person in your life. And you feel so happy about that. But suddenly you're separated in the dream. Then you feel, you're just suffering so much. You lost that, opportunity. Then you wake up in the morning. Then you say, I have such a strange dream, I met such a beautiful person in the dream. And then we got such a good kind of connection to each other. But that suddenly is lost and I suffer so much. Now it's not dream now. I'm wake up. None of those exist now. So look at that and meditate on this.
Thank you.
Kenshin Law,
Yes.
I'd like to ask a question related to that.
Yes.
Does this mean that, for instance, when we die, when we leave this body, we will recognize that the people we loved and maybe were attached to never really existed in any solid way at all? I mean, are we going to recognize that they just never really existed?
Recognize when?
When we die.
No, it's recognize unless you realize. No, unless you realize, then yes, then you say these are just illusory nature. And then they're no longer attachment, and then connection to that, there's no suffering.
Right.
But otherwise, yes, there's a attachment, and then involves a lot of this, suffering at the time of death, then it makes it more difficult in the transition, that's why we need to practice Dharma now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't wait until death.
No, I'm not.
No, yes.
You know that, Kenshin Law. I've been with you for over 40 years.
Yes.
Wow.
So we're aged.
Yeah, we're the same age. You and I are the same age.
Kenshin La, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Today in the teachings, you say, relax the mind naturally in the sphere of wisdom.
Yes.
And Milarepa says, look at his own mind as entertainment and then remains continuously in the intrinsic state.
Yes.
I guess the question I have is, how do we access that if we're in meditation? And you've mentioned so many times to practice shamatha, to practice calm abiding. And sometimes when we get to a very calm state, can we recognize that is the natural mind, as they say in Dzogchen? Is there a way that we can go, okay, I'm there, and rest in it? Or would we just know anyway? Is that just a calm state? Or are we actually able to recognize that Buddha nature state?
Yeah,
Am
that
I-
you
is that-
see. Yeah, yes. That's right. You see. At the beginning, we need karma abiding. Get used to it, so that your mind is not taken by others' conditions. See, and you are relaxing, you are aware, all things, even thought comes, they come, they go. You don't push them to go, but they dissolve, and you just see these things. No grasping, no fixation, no rejection, no acceptance, you see. So when you get used to these practitioners, and then you, through this, as mentioned, through this study and practice of impermanence, it's just, you see, everything is just play, And then what Miller was saying is entertain, So all the thoughts that in the mind comes, they come and go. They don't have a substantial power. It is take away you. So it's just you just look at the entertainment of the mind. Or all these thoughts are just entertainment. So you enjoy that entertainment without any, kind of say fixation, grasping. So it's just play of the, we should say, a play of the emptiness. So these thoughts that will not affect you anything. See, there's no anger, attachment, aversion, anything. So that's, of course, you have to get used to it. You have to practice that. So when you practice Mahamudra, doesn't mean always just nothing, So emptiness, nothing. It's not that. It's, if that happens, then Miller cannot teach all these things, you see. Or Buddha cannot teach all these volumes, hundreds and thousands of volumes, because it's nothing, But your mind becomes so alert, not disturbed, very precise, you see. Like the waves in the ocean, they come and go,
Thank you.
So, yeah, Pete, Ricard, you need this.
So Rinpoche, there's two questions. May I ask now?
Yeah, okay, yes.
So the first question is, you talk about a table, but each of us looks at a table in a different way.
Yes.
And then you also said that ultimately the nature of the table, or the nature of our mind is purity. So then with the nature of the mind that is purity, can you tell us what is the best way or the ultimate way for us to look at the table? How can we, from the ultimate nature of purity, look at a table?
Well, first, you say when you look at the table as a Dharma practitioner, especially Mahamudra practitioner, so like with the bodhicitta, then you see, first, as I mentioned, these are very important. Everything is impermanent. Having said that, impermanence means it's just changing. So changing means it's not there where you perceive. See? It's not exist as you perceive. Something like exists there, something solid. There's no solid existence on this, you see. Even scientists now, they say, the quantum physics theory, the Rocky Mountains, they're just constantly just changing, They say that. They got this kind of theory, So we as a Dharma practitioner, when you reach to that point, so everything's very, it's changing, consistently changing. Nothing stays real even 1 second. So when you have that experience and realization, then you see your table, what you have in front of you is now solid. See? So you see, it makes sense? So when you have that, then your mind is not grasping, not fixated. So when there's no fixation, no grasping, then you can say your mind is pure. See, your mind is free from all these boundaries. So that way, how you can see, and then you see. So you practice this, meditate on this, then physically or actually you can realize this. Then as I mentioned, Milarepa, who went into the yak horns, the yak horn is not bigger, he is not smaller, but he stays there so spaciously, no? So that's what happens, you see.
So, Rinpoche La, there's another question. The next
Okay.
question is,
Okay.
Because for us new practitioners, sometimes we have misunderstanding about emptiness.
Yes,
so can
yes.
you please explain to us what are the mistakes that new practitioners usually make when they try to understand emptiness?
Yes, this I mentioned a few times. Dharma becomes so available, and there's no any kind of arrangement we have, and we invite some great teacher, and because of that teacher is so great, we take full advantage. So we must ask the highest teaching, what that teacher can give us, and then we ask the highest teaching, Mahamudra, Dzogchen, and then the teacher teaches that. And many practitioners are not ready for that. Then you say, this is relative state, this, you see this, then this absolute state, this does not exist. Then there's a danger of the dualistic. There's a duality in between. We cannot make the bridge. You see, we cannot make the bridge. The relative nature itself is absolute nature. See. Then you see the danger is there. Then teacher will tell you in the Dzogchen, Mahamudra, there's no virtue, no virtue, no non-virtue. There's nothing, It's because the virtue, non-virtue is relative state. In absolute, there's no virtue, non-virtue. So you are free to do anything in the ultimate. There's a very kind of confusion can start from there, and then can make a mess there, because the virtue, or should say emptiness, cannot ignore the virtue or non-virtue, because virtue and non-virtue, their nature is emptiness. As you know, from the Heart Sutra, you see, the form is emptiness. And emptiness is the form. You see, form is no other than emptiness. And emptiness is also no other than form. See. That's the bridge. We have to make it. See. So in the samsara, all these 6 realms, they are playing within in the emptiness. It's just a matter of we realize or not realize. When there's negative karma, delusions, from that manifests all the suffering within in the emptiness. All the peace and happiness there, it plays within in the emptiness due to the cause that we have created. But through the realization of the emptiness, it helps us to uproot all our mental delusions. See, when the mental delusions are purified, then we are free from the cause of suffering. Make sense? These are very important we as a Dharma practitioner. Okay.
Dear Lama, I have
yes.
Yes, your last answer is really very clear and so nice. Thank you for it. Yes, it's I get the target. Yes.
Oh, very good, very good. You
Yes.
should get the target. Yes.
I will try. Yeah, but I have also one question about this realized yogi who are sitting in India or Tibet.
Tibet.
Yes, yes. He is Ashirabden, you told
yes,
before.
Yes.
Yes, I have just a little, I want to understand a little bit, yes. If he is realized, yes, if he realize his bodhicitta and realize
Mahamudra.
Yes, all these things, like you know, like compassion and wisdom realize it. Yes, why he is sitting in retreat? Why he don't work with another people like you? Because if he realizes emptiness, why he's still sitting? If he realizes compassion, why he's sitting and don't work with us? Why he is in retreat? You are realizing.
Yeah, I understand. Yes, you go there, you get teachings there. He will give you teachings.
Okay, I will do it when it will be possible. Yes.
Yes. You get a good visa.
Okay, but told me please about this realization. Why he is still sitting? If samsara and nirvana is the same.
Yeah, for him samsara and nirvana is the same.
Yes, but why he is sitting?
So he's sitting there in the nirvana.
Yes, why in the nirvana if samsara is the same? Why he is don't giving teachings to many people?
Yeah, he gives teaching. Yes.
In this place.
Yes, in Dikung area.
Okay. So his retreat not closed retreat, yes?
No. He's open to the people who wants to get teachings.
Okay.
Okay, everyone is good?
Yes.
Yeah, please take deep breath. Inhale. And extend your chest and stomach. And exhale. Just relax. Make your mind fresh. Without thinking past, future, this moment, just keep as it is. Okay, now please a few dedication prayers. Just look at the. We do have the longer version of Thakurman. Yeah, it's okay. No, it's okay. Yeah, say this here.
Kevin?
Let us see this, you see. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, just a few dedication prayers. Not this one. This is a mandala.
Yeah, just a sec. I had it. Let's see. Stop share. Just learning, share.
Doje Chang, Talopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dharma Lord Gempa,
Alexandra, okay.
Lord Risumpa. Please bestow upon us the highest and the most auspicious.
By this virtue, may I achieve omniscience by defeating all enemies' confusion. May all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara. Where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri, the warrior, realized the ultimate state, as did Samantabhadra, I will follow in their path and fully dedicate all merit for all sentient beings. By the blessing of the Buddha, attain the three kayas. By the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such. By the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Trungpa Ratnashri, who is omniscient, Lord of Dharma, master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Kenshin La.
Yes, take care.
Thank you, Kanchenla.
Yeah, thank you.